What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of U4 to Your Eternity Season 2. This is episode 9, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
hmm so much of this episode was mainly focused on Fushi confronting the knockers. So, well, in various locations. Of course, Fushi, decided to go by himself to fight against the knockers. Um, Located it like in the what was it, the Church of Bennett, or the Church of Bennett is located. So he tries to do it by himself, but as we know, like it's impossible for him to do so because he doesn't have Kahaku, he doesn't have the Guardians accompanying him. He's just like just mainly using whatever resources he can muster to deal with the knockers, but at the cost of losing some of his forms. Like I think he mentioned he lost. Uh, frick. I forgot the names.
It was Perona. I think it was also Gugu as well. And some other ones I forget about. I forget.
Yeah, I know
Um,
Perona was the one missing too.
yeah.
But of course, Fushi managed to save several people, but he's still unsuccessful in then trying to save everyone in that city. I mean, there's nothing he can really do, but just mainly fighting the knockers by himself. And it's not until like much later we see Bon and Kahaku meeting up with him much later.
Yeah, there's quite a few casualties, and it shows that he basically spent like all night trying to fight off the knockers, but there were still a lot of people that died. Because we see the next day he had taken the form. I think it's that I could be wrong, but I think it was that guy who was traveling along with Donari.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it looked like him, and he was like trying to heal people, and that's when Kahaku and Bon meet up with him again.
mhm. Yeah. Well, Bon is starting to become how do you say, like he's become more of a mature character than what he previously used to be back when we first saw him. So
Yeah,
I mean, he's a little bit more tolerable now than he was before.
I definitely, yeah, Bon is definitely just yeah, like you said, a much more tolerable character than he was before. Like, and I guess that's because he's not trying to be the comic relief character, and he's actually like trying to be, he's, and I guess it makes sense too because he is technically like trying to be a different person.
Yeah, and of course we also learn more about Kahaku's knocker still inside his arm. Well, Fushi, of course,
Yeah, the
gets
Knocker spends a lot of time like communicating with Fushi and the others in this episode, just kind of like telling them like what the Knockers are up to.
yeah, but it's
And I guess that the other Knockers see that Knocker in particular as some kind of a traitor,
I mean,
which is kind of interesting because I
should we
thought that the
really
Knockers were.
really believe that they can really trust the knocker in Kahaku's arm?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, but I mean, I kind of thought that the Knockers were sort of like a hive mind in a way. I guess maybe this Knocker is a little bit different because it's spent so many generations just fused with different members of Hayase's clan.
I don't even know how how the knocker even, I don't know, transfers over to its descendant or whatever. How
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that works. But yeah, like this is definitely one of the most action heavy episodes of this season. There's just mostly just a lot of fighting in this episode, surprisingly. Especially after we spent so many episodes just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of, it feels like just kind of traveling around and just not really, the plot not really progressing all that much. It feels like finally like stuff is happening. But again, I'm still not exactly sure where this season is going necessarily. Like, I guess it's technically like this is more the end of this particular arc and it's going into another one. It seems like because at the end of this episode, that's what it seems like what's about to happen.
I mean, we're already the halfway point of this series already. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is really next week is going to be the end of the first core or whatever you can call it.
Well, that is if
they said
it's
it was
going
like
to
20 episodes.
Yeah, like I mean, I guess that depends on if it's going to be like season one, where it's just going to, not going to be taking any breaks.
hmm
Uh,
I mean, well, of course. Well, anyway, so like Fushi, of course, tries to confront another knocker located in a swamp, but of course, Fushi is unsuccessful in trying to deal with it due to the fact that the knocker is underground. And all of a sudden, he gets rescued by this horse. Apparently, that was created through Fushi's flesh, thanks to Fushi's creator. So apparently, well, of course, the horse can't like transform or gain other forms like Fushi does, but it can heal from such major injuries like falling off a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah, when the horse fell off the cliff and just came back from that, I was kind of I was like, oh, okay, well, that's definitely not a normal horse. But yeah, we see that Fushi and his creator, like his creator informs him, tells him that's what he did, and also tells Fushi that he has the ability to, um, what was it? That he can create different, like he can manipulate the land or
Yeah.
something, or
So
yeah,
apparently, like whatever object he creates, like say if it's a piece of food or a different or a weapon or just some other object that he leaves behind, he can actually sense what is happening. You know, I guess because technically that object he creates is a part of him technically, and then
mhm,
if he leaves behind that object, he can sense what's going on in that said object in a different location than where he's currently at. So and of course, I think Bond makes some arrangements to help them. Like I guess he gives them like a giant ship as like as some sort of base for Fushi. Um,
yeah.
and of course, Fushi, of course, ends up learning how to use his new abilities to take advantage of that knocker at the swamp. But of course, Kahaku comes in and helps out as well.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, like you mentioned too, Bond basically gives Fushi the ship because they find out where the knockers are headed to next from the knocker in Kahaku's arm,
Hmm.
and it tells Fushi. I forget what the place is called, but it's like I guess it's some place across the sea, um, where it's going to go, where it's going next, and this is kind of, I guess, where Fushi parts ways with Bond and Kahaku and decides to take this ship, and that's um well, and that's kind of where things end off in the episode. Um, Bond almost like reveals that he can see the Fushi's dead companions and that they communicate with him, but Fushi doesn't really pay much attention to it.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that I thought this episode was actually okay. Kind of like the last one. I liked that there was actually more that happened in this episode. Um, it definitely felt like a bit of a step up from what we've been seeing.
Hmm. There's another thing I want to point out about that horse.
Mhm.
We see numerous times this horse constantly, I guess, is more overprotective of Fushi at times. But
Yeah, the
there-
horse seems to be rather intelligent because I mean it even tries to, uh, yeah, it tries to like get some fish for Fushi too.
I have a theory of what this horse is. I think it's possible
Uh,
this horse is a maybe a reincarnation of Pioron because that seems to be what they're hinting at.
yeah, maybe. Um, I mean, we just now learned that I mean that the creator could even do something like that. I mean, I I can think of plenty of other times. Like I don't know. It's just like I can think of plenty of other times where something like that would have been kind of useful, but he chooses now to do that. I don't know. It's like it seems to just come out of nowhere that he can is like, yeah, I can create a horse from your flesh now.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
um,
Ah,
but yeah, I don't really have too much to say about the episode. Like I said, I thought it's definitely a step up in quality from what we've seen so far. Um, but I feel like it still needs to it just still needs to do more to kind of to make me invested in the plot again because like as like with and like I said, I think this might be the end of this particular arc. So maybe like the next arc will be a little bit better.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I guess we'll just have to see. I don't know if you have anything else to say
Yeah.
about the episode.
I mean, the action is starting to pick up again, at least. But um, Honestly, I mean, I'm still a little bit disappointed in how the season has went on. Like, it's already like
Yeah.
halfway through the season, and compared to um, how the first original season went about, it's like I was more emotionally invested of what was happening due to what was going on with its characters, Fushi's development in particular. But this one, it's like it just kind of droned on for several episodes, like literally just halfway through the first half of the season.
I feel like the problems with this season so far is that it just feels like the biggest problem to me is it feels very directionless. Like I don't know where, like I said a few different times, like I'm not really sure where this plot is going. Um, and also like the dramatic tension is kind of gone that was in season one, and that mostly was because Fushi had to deal with all the loss that he had to deal with, and uh, now that we know that Fushi has the ability, at least, even though he might not know this, to bring people back, it kind of threatens to get rid of any potential, like you're not really afraid of what might happen to a particular character anymore, because it's always in the back of your mind, like, well, Fushi could possibly like bring them back or something. I mean, at least Bond knows about this. um, and yeah, and I feel like there was also like the character of Bond himself also really kind of drew me out of it, because of I know he's supposed to be like a comic relief character, but I found him more annoying than funny. And also just because I feel like it definitely seems to have some pacing issues with the way the season started, and then doing that major time skip, and it felt like it really slowed down after that, and I don't know. I feel like those are some of the problems I've been having with the season so far. Um, and I'm kind of hoping things get better, but I'm not expecting too much, because people that have read the manga said that the manga does kind of this is kind of the point where things kind of start to go downhill. Um, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe that's not exactly true, but I guess we'll just have to see.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that all being said, guys, until next week, we will see you all next time.